understand.
Otangelo, take a little bit of a break and tell my audience who you are. People are asking.
Yes, I am Swiss Italian. I live in Brazil. I am an evangelical Christian, and I am studying intelligent design theory, creationism, origins, and so forth. Yeah.
Okay.
My first question to you would be, why are you an atheist?
Because there is no reason to believe in God.
I think this is not a good reason to be an atheist.
No, there is no reason to believe in God.
Yeah, I think this is not a good reason to disbelieve in God.
It is the only reason to believe in God.
I
It is
think
the
you would
only
have
reason to not believe in God.
I think you would just have a sound case, Vimoh, if you can explain our existence better by naturalistic mechanisms which replace God and which are more case adequate.
No, naturalistic reasons don't replace God because God was never an explanation for our existence.
Okay, so how do you explain our existence without God?
We know some things. We know some things about how we come into existence. We know some things about why the solar system exists, how galaxies came into being. We know that at some point something called the Big Bang happened. We don't know if there was the beginning of the universe, but maybe it was some kind of a thing that caused the universe as it exists right now to happen, and we don't know how the Big Bang happened. That's all we know.
Well,
I think
would
we
you
know some
agree?
things. I think we know some things. I don't think we know everything. But the things that we do know did not come from religion, and religion has never actually given any answers.
Okay, so do you believe that the universe had a beginning or not?
I don't know.
Okay, so let's move on to another question. How did life begin?
I think you're talking about abiogenesis.
Yes.
So, is your argument going to be that life cannot come from life? Life can only come from life?
No, I would like to know if you have a good explanation how life can come from non life by non guided naturalistic mechanisms.
I don't know. But I definitely don't think that religion offers a better explanation than I don't know. Does it?
Okay, so you have given me already two I don't knows. You have given me I don't know in regards of the universe, if it is eternal or not. Science has a pretty clear understanding in regards of that, and
A
most
pretty clear understanding with regard to what?
well, I am talking about the question if the universe had a beginning or not, and there is a
The universe has
consensus.
so the Big Bang is the most widely accepted consensus among scientists who study this kind of thing about how what we know as the known universe came into being. There is nothing in science that tells us how the Big Bang happened or whether something was there before the Big Bang happened, but we can deduce some things by the fact that the universe is expanding, and the universe cannot be then the universe has to be expanding into something, right? So the universe, if it exists somewhere, and we don't know what that is.
Yeah, science doesn't have an answer in regards of the first moment in Planck time. It goes
That is
just
true.
back to Planck time.
That is true.
But for example, Martin Rees, which is a very acknowledged and well-known astrophysicist, he says that based on that fact that the universe is expanding and all relevant evidence that we have, we can reasonably and justifiably conclude that the universe most likely had actually a beginning.
Is that a consensus everyone shares? Do we know for sure that the universe had a beginning?
Well, there is a large consensus, I would say,
How
amongst
big?
cosmologists.
How big?
Well, I mean, there is Krauss, Penzias, Hawking, many others which agree on that conclusion.
They all
And we have
conclude. They
also,
agree on the.
and
They all agree on the definitive conclusion that the universe most definitely had a beginning.
well, I can quote you here, for example, from Lars Bergström,
No.
Cosmology and
Don't quote.
Particle
Don't quote.
Astrophysics.
Don't quote. Don't quote.
Yeah, I would say there is a large consensus like Hawking, Einstein, Rees, Vilenkin, Penzias, Jastrow, Krauss, and hundreds of physicists that time and space and matter is finite. It's not infinite. And we
Right.
have also the
I
second law
would
of
say, I would
thermodynamics.
say we know that something like the Big Bang happened. We don't know how the Big Bang happened or what was there before it, because that is my understanding what the consensus is right now. There may be some people who have some ideas, but I don't think there is any universal consensus. Like, for example, we know that gravity exists. No scientist would disagree on it. But as far as whether the universe began or not, there is no consensus, and therefore the position has to be that we don't know. But even if I accept that the universe had a beginning, what is your point?
Well, if it had a beginning, it must have had a cause, right? Something cannot come from nothing.
So, what was the cause in your opinion?
Well, it must be something which didn't have the properties of the universe. So if the universe
Why?
is made by,
Why?
well, because it created matter, space, and time, right? So it must be something above matter, space, and time because it didn't exist
Not
prior or
necessarily. Not
beyond.
necessarily. Why? Oh, that is a conclusion that you're coming to. If something created matter, space, and time, it could not have had matter, space, time in it. Maybe it could. How do you know that it didn't?
Well, if it had, then it also would have had to have a beginning, and then you would have infinite regress.
Yeah. So why can't we have infinite regress?
Well, how can you have infinite regress, and how could you arrive to this present moment in time if it didn't have a beginning?
Maybe it is cyclical.
Well, we don't know that
A
time
circle
is
is an infinitely long line, right?
right, but that would mean that time is also cyclical, but we don't see time going back to the beginning of the universe. We have only one direction, one arrow
That
of
may be
time,
because we
which is
don't
in
see
one
much of
direction.
anything. We have a very narrow view of the universe right now. We don't understand the universe. We have a phrase called the known universe. What happens beyond it, we don't know. So maybe our understanding of time is not true. How did you discount that?
Well, if time would be cyclical, Vimoh, then we would experience time not only going forwards, but in a certain moment going
How
backwards
why
again
would
to
you
the
think that?
beginning.
Why would you think that? Maybe we are not capable of experiencing it.
How do you reach the beginning of the universe if there would be not a reverse to time
I
rather
told
than
you, I do
going?
not think there is a consensus about the beginning of the universe.
Well, logically, I think you can exclude that time is cyclical.
No, I don't. I think you can logically exclude that God exists,
Oh,
right?
really? Okay, so I
Yeah,
define God as eternal, powerful, intelligent, conscious, and not made of physical things. Is a spirit. Is there any kind of illogical um,
there is
proposition
no
that I
reason to
made
think.
just
There is no
right
reason
now?
to think that any of those things are true.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking, is there any kind of illogical inconsistency in the description which I just gave you?
I define a werewolf as a half human, half wolf creature, which goes from human to wolf on full moon night. Is there anything illogical there?
No,
So, do werewolves exist? Should I assume they exist?
that's not the logical following question, Vimo. The logical following question should be: is it then just by logic possible that such a being exists? Yes or no?
If it is okay, so the point is this: if something is possible, do you think it is probable that it exists?
That is another question. The fact is that you said God is impossible. It can only be impossible
No, no,
if
I
it
didn't
is
say God is
not
impossible. I never
logical.
said God is impossible.
Well, that's
You
what I
said
understood.
that you are logically discounting the possibility that the universe is cyclical. I'm saying in much the same way, simply because it does not suit me, I can discount the possibility that God is real, right?
Okay,
If
so
you
you
can use a
formulate
method,
this
that
differently.
method is available to me also.
Well, as I said, if you can provide some kind of logical inconsistency in the description which I just gave you, that the God that I propose
You
has,
can create logically consistent models about the creation of the universe. However, there is no reason to think that that model represents reality.
that
I
is
can
another
create models.
question.
I can create a logically consistent model of Hindu cosmology. That does not mean that that is true.
That yeah, that is
We
another
know for
question.
true. We know for sure what we know for sure. What we don't know, what could be, what may be, is not on the table. I am asking what you do know. Imagination can be used to make all kinds of models. I am only interested in that which is demonstrable.
Okay, can you demonstrate? Are you married?
I'm not married.
Okay, but if I am telling you that that my wife loves me,
Hmm.
um, I cannot demonstrate that to
Sure you
you,
can.
right?
Sure you can.
Okay.
First of all, I can go to
Is
your
love something physical?
I can prove that your wife loves you or does not love you by going to your wife and asking her. Maybe she will lie to me, but she will give me an answer, right?
So it's
Alternatively,
not
I
true.
can show her pictures of you. And if you have a good enough relationship with your wife, her brain will light up in certain parts. We have tracked human brains. We have seen what parts light up when someone experiences love. There are
Right.
ways
So
to do this.
yeah, right. So you have basically circumstantial evidence, which then you can make a logical inference to the cause of that state of affairs. That is
No,
not an
no, no, no.
empirical proof.
There is nothing circumstantial about it. I know what love means. I have experienced it myself. I know the ways in which I behave when I am in love with someone or when I love someone. I can see that behavior reflected in other people. And when I do, I can come to the conclusion that they are experiencing what I experience. Like a fruit is sweet, for example. I eat it, I think it is sweet. Someone else eats it, they think it is sweet, but I have no way of knowing what they're tasting. So we have a frame of reference where they eat sugar and they say, yeah, it's like this. And I say, yeah, it is like this. I agree with your connection between the taste of sugar and the taste of that fruit because I make that same connection in my head. That is how we know that we are both describing the same thing when we are describing sweetness.
Yeah, the thing is, Vimo, that we want to know what is ontologically true or in regards of metaphysics, if God exists or not, which is basically a philosophical question. So you cannot use scientism or empiricism in order to elucidate that question.
If
So
we cannot
basically, what
use, wait. If we can't use science, then why are you trying to prove that God created the universe? Because that is a scientific topic.
well,
If God
science.
is if God is purely conceptual to you, then don't use science. Just say that it's a concept in my head.
Well, what I am saying is that what is a path to the cause. So we can use scientific investigation and what science has unraveled to us to make logical inference to what best explains the phenomena in question.
And we have no data to create any kind of framework to explain it. You can say that God did it, but what is the definition of God? People have different definitions of God. There is no reason to think that any of those definitions have anything to do with reality, because so far what we have observed about the universe does not give us any reason to think that something like God exists or created it.